So this playthrough is going to be an absolutely wild and diabolical ride. Fallout New Vegas is a game that offers the player an insane array of choices and consequences, so I decided to make every single bad decision I possibly could in this game, and this video is the result. So without further ado, let's buckle up, grab some iced coffee, and dive into the worst playthrough ever of Fallout New Vegas. Before we begin, let's talk about the ground rules I set for myself in this playthrough. One interesting thing about Fallout New Vegas is that there are no invincible NPCs, so basically every single character in this game can be killed. So one version of a bad playthrough would be to simply kill every NPC. But doing this would wall us off from some diabolical bad choices. So wherever possible, I wanted to save killing as a last resort. If killing an NPC would prevent me from making a bad choice later on, then I would spare them so that I could betray them in another way. However, if killing an NPC was required to get the worst ending for a faction or quest, as was the case with Julie Farkas, Marcus, and Iron Tarkus, wait, wrong game, then my guy would have no problem crossing them off. Maximum destruction was the goal for the playthrough. Sometimes that's achieved by killing, but other times we rely on different forms of betrayal and subterfuge instead. Now that we've got the ground rules for our playthrough sorted, let's dive into character creation. After finding out the game was rigged at the start and taking a bullet to the head, we wake up in Good Springs and see Doc Mitchell's beautiful face. Now it's time to create our character, a bald bastard who the Mojave just isn't ready for. For my build, I'm going with low intelligence because it unlocks some new dialogue options. I'll also lean heavily into guns and speech. We'll eventually pick up the Cannibal perk as well to farm some negative karma and rub shoulders with the White Glove Society. Doc puts us through a series of questions. Let's see, first word that comes to mind for mother, human shield. Man, Obsidian had some wild ones in this game. After wrapping up things with Doc, we introduce ourselves to some of the townsfolk and learn that there is a battle brewing between a Crimson Caravaneer and a group of escaped convicts known as the Powder Gangers. Naturally, we side with the criminals and agree to help Joe Cobb and his boys take over this shithole town. Gang gang, baby!
Let's say we start over with a friendly game of Caravan. You know how to play? What? No!
We ready to move or what? It's about time. I saw some of the townies gathering at the saloon, so we got a militia to take down. We get rid of them, and we own this place.
Cut it out, will you? Knew you were here.
Our next stop is the NCR Correctional Facility, where the core group of powder gangers is running their operation of thieving and powder ganging throughout the wasteland. We decide to go to work for Eddie, completing a series of tasks before the compound gets raided by the NCR. But we ain't gonna let big government shut down our successful business operation here, so we help Eddie take out the NCR goons and keep powder ganger territory intact.
Not half bad in a fight, are you? I figure you had a lot to do with me still breathing after all that. I don't have any more work for you, but feel free to stick around as long as you want. You never know when the NCR will be back.
Maybe the Inquisitor could have learned how to navigate the military and political landscape better if he played World Warfare and Economics, the brand new geopolitical simulator game that allows you to chart the destiny of nations. At the beginning of the game, you'll select any nation of your choosing to direct their affairs, forge diplomatic and trade relations with other countries, build up your economy and military strength, and even go to war if you so choose. However, be aware that the world is watching and your actions have consequences. At the end of the day, you are the grand strategist responsible for leading your nation to becoming a global superpower. My favorite diplomatic tool is sending insults to other nations. Your leadership is as inspiring as a fish on land, flopping about, gasping for breath, yet accomplishing nothing. That'll show Sudan who's boss. The developers are committed to realism by simulating the key components of IRL global politics, even to the point of having a pandemic simulator. The sandbox environment allows you to scope out the finer details of the global stage, and you can pause, slow down, or speed up time at any point to micromanage your simulation. World Warfare and Economics is available on Steam right now, so click on the link in the description and start conquering the globe today. Big shout out to Akron Studio for sponsoring this video. Our next major stop is the city of Primm, which has been overrun by more escaped convicts. Johnson Nash asks us to help save the sheriff, or failing that, install a new lawman in town to help protect the citizens. Our choices are the NCR, a robot, or a loose cannon criminal named Myers. Primm Slim the robot is definitely the funniest option, but not the worst one. Giving the town over to the NCR is out of the question too. So we decide to install Myers instead, and you'll see why when we get to the ending slides. Besides, my guy likes the idea of a trigger-happy, shoot first and ask questions later kind of sheriff, so Myers seems like a good man for the job. Primm is also where we will pick up our companion Edie, the iBot, but at the moment we lack the necessary skills and parts to repair him, so we'll circle back to that later. So for now, our work in Primm is complete. After a quick stopover at the NCR Mojave outpost, we are tasked with checking in on the town of Nipton. We're first confronted with a shootout between some psycho bitch with a mohawk and a dude named Tomas. She was trying to snatch his valuables before being gunned down, so naturally we take those for ourselves.
Yeah, every once in a while you can find a cap with a blue star on it. They're pretty rare, so I started collecting them. Once I had enough, I made a necklace out of them, since I thought they were lucky. What? The hell I will.
2 seconds later, we meet this annoying dude screaming about winning some kind of lottery, but his luck runs short once he runs into the menace of the Mojave.
Yeah! Who won the lottery? I did! Smell that air! Couldn't you just drink it like booze? Are you kidding me? Never felt better. Yeah! What lottery? The lottery, that's what lottery! Are you stupid? Only lottery that matters! Oh my god, smell that air! Watch out!
After pushing further into the town, some furry accosts us and tells us about how Caesar's legion sacked the town of Nipton. He might have some kind of weird fetishes, but at least he's a killer, so Big Mongo decides to spare him and relay news of what happened in Nipton back to the NCR to strike some fear into their hearts.
Something else you wanted? What? There's no way. We're miles from the Colorado. They aren't even waiting for the dam to fall. They're already inside the borders. We'll never stop them. Not at this rate. We're doomed. Thanks for bringing the word. Even if the news is bad, I'll let the men know.
After putting Nipton in the rearview mirror, we push north until we reach Novak, a town built in a pre-war motel. Here we meet another potential companion, Boone, who tasks us with investigating which townie sold his dearly departed wife to the Legion. But we don't have time for a long investigation, so we just blame the crime on the first person we see, who happens to be Boone's best friend Manny. After walking him out to the watchtower, Boone splatters his brains with a single shot, and we report back to him for our reward. Unfortunately, he was not too happy about the outcome.
That's it then. How did you know? You didn't have any proof? God damn it, this wasn't supposed to be a guess. He might not have done a goddamn thing. Get out. I don't ever want to see you here again. You stay the hell away from me. Get the hell away. We're done talking.
What's the big deal, man? You got your revenge. Who cares if it was an innocent man? You still got to shoot your shot. At this point, we still don't have any companions, so we rocket solo up to the Helios One power plant, which is occupied by the NCR. The NCR has put an absolute retard in charge of the whole operation, and he's got the plant operating at 1% efficiency. We also learned that this power plant is equipped with a giant laser, so naturally we rig up the computer to wipe out the NCR in a glorious blaze of, well, glory. At the rate we're losing NCR reputation, they're gonna start sending hit squads after us soon. So thank God we can wipe the slate clean after we find Benny. But for now, our next stop is Boulder City, which has my absolute favorite interaction in the entire game. As we approach the town, we see a young NCR trooper named Private Kowalski paying respects at the Hoover Dam War Memorial. So we say hello with a little bit of target practice.
Cut it out! What the fuck are you doing? My brother died at the Battle of Hoover Dam. You're desecrating a war memorial.
You're a little bitch and your brother was too.
Oh, now it's on.
Oh my god, I love this game. Boulder City is currently under lockdown after a group of Great Khans took a couple of NCR soldiers hostage. We convinced the NCR to let us into town to negotiate a peaceful prisoner transfer. But after assuring the Great Khans that they'll be able to walk out unscathed, we encouraged the NCR to betray them and wipe them off the map.
I'm glad you're able to get my people freed, but there's a new problem. I just got orders to take out the Great Khans, hostages or not. You cut a deal with the Khans? Damn it. Attacking them now doesn't feel right, but orders are orders.
Sorry, pals, the game was rigged from the start. After Boulder City, we beeline to Camp McCarran and ride the train straight to the Strip. Hey, nice monorail you got here, NCR. It'd be a shame if something happened to it. I couldn't resist shit-talking the NCR soldier in the barracks and got my ass handed to me after starting a fist fight with him.
This your first time on the Strip? You're not getting started off on the right foot here. The NCR still has a strong presence here and can make your stay unpleasant. You better watch yourself out there. A loose cannon like yourself can sometimes run out of luck at just the wrong time. Aha! Aha!
But after reloading a save, we talk to Mr. House in the Lucky 38, and then head to the tops to confront Benny.
What in the goddamn? Let's keep this in the groove, hey? Smooth moves, smooth.
We decide the best course of action is to extort Benny for as many caps as possible, but naturally he scams us and sends a goon squad to kill us. Since I didn't have any weapons, I just ran away like a little bitch, and hilariously, the enemy AI was no match for my incredible 5-head strat of holding the W key, so I escaped unscathed. But Benny got away as well. So for now, I pick up a little side work from the Van Graffs and Crimson Caravan. At this point, I decide a little companionship is in order, so I return to the Mojave outpost to recruit Cass into my party. Only problem is, she can't leave until a dude named Jackson clears her exit papers.
That's a good point. It's the caravan clearance that's got me stuck here. I'm sure this bar's getting tired of propping me up. Still, Jackson's not letting me out of his sight as long as there's still trouble up north. You settle things with him, help the others around here too. I'll sign the paper if it means getting out of here. Guess that settles that then. Give me that paper. I'll put my name to it. No sense trying to hold the past between your fingers when it's nothing but dirt.
Our first stop is the Silver Rush, where one of the Van Graff goons wants to have a nice little chat with Cass.
As I live and breathe, Rose of Sharon Cassidy, the late Rose of Sharon Cassidy, was hoping you were on that caravan I massacred. But Crimson Caravan and Van Graffs won't need to worry about you anymore. Mojave's ours, and we're shutting you down for good. Waited too long to finish this. Last loose end, all wrapped up. Hi, I'm John Baptiste, and you're about to stop being a pain in my ass.
Well, that companion was short-lived.
Oh, that was fun. Did you see the look on that bitch's face? Priceless.
Our next stop is the Nellis Air Force Base, home of the Boomers. They try to kill me with rockets because I'm a millennial, but ain't no artillery gonna bring me down. I meet with their leaders and pretend I'm going to help, but we ain't doing none of that shit. We're here for one purpose: to crush some incel's dreams of getting his first girlfriend. Jack asks us to make contact with some Crimson Caravan chick he's been watching with his binoculars. Kinda creepy, bro, not gonna lie. But interestingly, she's totally DTF and wants to go to the Boomer base to meet him. So naturally, we lie and say she's clear to go through the artillery strikes.
Ugh, I've just gotta meet him. Is there any way the Boomers would let me visit Nellis? Really? Thank you so much. I'll get going right away.
You're a terrible person. I loved her, and you let her run right into our kill zone. Why didn't you stop her?
We'll come back later to deal with the rest of the Boomers, but for now, it's on to the RepCon facility to complete one of my favorite side quests, Come Fly With Me. At the RepCon facility, we'll meet a group of ghouls on a mission to ride a set of rockets into the great beyond. But for the moment, their plans have been sabotaged by Nightkin. There is a peaceful solution to clearing out the Nightkin by sneaking into their leader's room and using a speech check to tell them there are no stealth boys in the building. But peace is not an option in this playthrough, so we just wipe out all the Nightkin instead. We also take out a ghoul who's barricaded himself in the basement as well, just for a little extra mayhem.
Anyway, I helped them out, and they kept me supplied with ammo and pleasant company. Then you're dumber than you look, Smoothskin. Eat this.
After exterminating all sentient life in the basement, we return to Jason Bright and execute the next steps of the plan. We also learn that their bald human companion is kind of a joke amongst the group, which shatters his entire bald worldview.
Bald? You call this bald, Smoothskin? I'm a monster. A monster! Oh, God. You're telling me the truth, aren't you? Oh, no. How could they do this to me? For 2 years. My God, I've been a joke to them. Do you have any idea how easy it'd be for me to sabotage those rockets? That'd be a joke, huh? One hell of a joke. Then bring me sugar bombs. 3 boxes should do the trick. Add those to the fuel mixture and boom. I'll show those rotten ghouls, and they'll know exactly who did them in.
In an act of bald solidarity, I decide to help Chris sabotage the rockets and send the ghouls to a different version of the Great Beyond. This also secures the worst ending for the town of Novak, so it's 2 birds with 1 stone. But for now, the menace of the Mojave has an itch to cause more trouble for the NCR, so we make a trip to Freeside and link up with the King. He asks us to investigate some suspicious activity in Freeside, including an NCR food bank that refuses to serve locals. Turns out the NCR was trying to make overtures to the Kings, but their envoy was attacked by Pacer's goons. But instead of relaying this info to the King, we encourage him to go to war with the NCR as well, leading to a shootout in Freeside where we wipe out the NCR soldiers stationed in the neighborhood. This leads to a bad outcome for the NCR and unlocks the worst ending for the Kings, which you'll see later in the video. Around this point in the game, we also recruit Arcade Gannon and Rex, who will help us out a lot in combat, for now. We don't want to totally brick our NCR reputation just yet, so we decide to pick up a gig from Thomas Hildern at Camp McCarran. He asks us to head to a sketchy abandoned vault, which is overrun by spore people. Inside, we make contact with a ghoul scientist named Keely, who asks us to destroy all the research data in the vault. Naturally, we decline, and she makes the last mistake of her miserable little life.
Those files need to be erased. Hold out your arm and I'll have it done in a flash. So you're gonna be stubborn about it, eh? You're sure I can't change your mind about this? Then you give me no choice.
Returning to Hildern, we shake him down for a few extra caps before moving on to the Ultralux Casino. Here, we pick up the quests Feeble Will and Beyond the Beef. Walter Phoebus is a small-time farmer with revenge on his mind. He asks us to enter the casino and take care of his arch-nemesis, Heck Gunderson, a big-shot Brahmin baron. Turns out Heck's son Ted has gone missing in the casino. And the reason for that is the White Glove Society kidnapped him for the purposes of preparing a rare meal for their little club. And since our main protagonist is a cannibal as well, we were able to cozy up with the White Glove with relative ease. Mortimer suggests a few different options for resolving their dinner party crisis. We can either kidnap a man outside New Vegas, who was their original intended target for the meal. We can also decide to slaughter Ted and then frame his father for the murder, and yeah, that's the option we're going with.
Heck Gunderson, you're under arrest for the murder of Tank Gunderson.
What in blazes? That's my son you're talking about. He ain't dead. I'm looking for him.
It is my duty to inform you that murder is a serious crime. As a murderer, you should be feeling emotions such as guilt, sorrow, and shame. If not, you may wish to consult a mental health professional.
Where's my son? What'd you do with my boy?
I hope this experience has taught you an important lesson about the value of human life.
You can't do this to me. This is a mistake.
Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
The hell I will.
Stand back, citizens. Deceased bodies are a known source of illness and a potential tripping hazard.
Another hilariously diabolical alternative is to offer up one of your companions, such as Arcade Gannon, for the meal.
What's up? Oh, I'll be here. Just don't expect me to fend off a gang of super mutants while you're gone.
Any word as to our arrangement? Wonderful. You have come through with flying colors. On behalf of my colleagues, allow me to extend my thanks. I know what a terrible sacrifice this must have been for you. You have done very well in keeping this business low-key. I appreciate your discretion. I'll be sure to drop your name during our functions. I hope you understand what a tremendous boon this will be to your standing in society.
In any case, we win the White Gloves over and let them reconnect with their cannibalistic roots. There was just one problem, though. Afterwards, I encountered a bug where a notification about gaining info about the White Glove Society just repeatedly spammed on my screen. No matter how I completed the objective by talking to Marjorie or Yes Man, the spam would continue. So eventually, I had to kill both Mortimer and Marjorie with console commands to get it to go away. They could have provided assistance in the ending, but somehow this seems more fitting for the worst playthrough. Moving on, our next stop is Vault 34, where we investigate a radiation leakage that's been poisoning the crops at the NCR sharecroppers farm. Turns out the vault is totally overrun with radiation and ghoulified residents, but there are some survivors trapped in the depths of the structure, posing a difficult, morally gray decision for the player. We can either reroute the power in a way that seals off the radiation from the surface, but kills the survivors of Vault 34, or we can reroute the power so the Vault 34 survivors can escape, but doom the sharecroppers by destroying their food supply. I decided to pick the latter option, which sounds like it might not be the worst one, except that I ended up killing the Vault 34 survivors myself after they made their way back to the surface.
Take cover!
There we go, problem solved. I was worried I wasn't picking the worst option there for a second. At this point, I decided to progress the main story and head over to Caesar's fort to help forge another bald alliance. Caesar asks us to destroy House's robot collection in the weather station, and as a reward, we get to pick the way Benny gets executed. I don't know, crucifixion seems fitting to me.
Don't do that, baby, not crucifixion. I could be up there for days with those twisted creeps laughing and pointing. You sick, vindictive Happy now, you twisted bum? Well, I ain't gonna give you the satisfaction. Scram, will ya? I got nothing to say to you.
We also pick up a couple of side quests. One involves retrieving a teddy bear for a slave, and to do this we have to massacre a bunch of dogs with a machete. So after carving up our canine friends, we return with the bear, only to crush her dreams at the last moment.
Hi. That's okay. I'll fix him. Can I have him now? Sergeant Teddy! I don't want to talk to you. I hate you.
The furry dude Volpes will also give us a quest line which involves blowing up the NCR monorail at Camp McCarran and framing it on a dude reminiscent of Private Pyle from Full Metal Jacket.
There's one ranger protecting the monorail. You don't even need to feed him that much. He'll get it done.
Dude, the NCR are so dumb. They had no idea I was involved in this whole thing. But anyhow, moving on, we pick up a quest from a man named Frank Weathers, whose family has been kidnapped by the Legion. We can find them caged up in Cottonwood Cove, and after pickpocketing the key from the guard, we decide to set the family free, in a manner of speaking.
No! Not like this!
You killed my kin. Why is this happening to me? Mama.
You're a killer. Go away.
They hardly even know.
Over here! Help!
Have you found my family yet? Yes. Have you found them? Oh, God, no. I haven't been the best father, but I didn't deserve this.
But don't think just because I'm working for the Legion, I'm not willing to go against them as well when a cursed decision is available. At Camp Searchlight, we receive a quest from the NCR to investigate Cottonwood Cove, and are eventually asked to wipe out the camp. Conveniently, there's a truck full of radioactive barrels right at the top of the hill. So with a simple opening of the doors, it's bon voyage to this Legion camp. Interestingly, I didn't lose any Legion reputation for doing this, maybe because there are no survivors, and I didn't actually directly kill any of the soldiers with my weapons. Hilariously, when you go back to the fort, the dude who shuttles you back and forth between the Cove is wearing a radiation suit, which he'll keep on for the rest of the game. But we get back at the NCR by executing some prisoners during the quest Anywhere I Wander. Ironically, we failed this mission before it even really started because the quest giver got gunned down in a random firefight. But I made sure to finish what I started on my own. I don't know if that was a fair kill, dude. He was tied up. During the quest Return to Sender, we investigate a series of falsified NCR reports. Along the way, we scam one of the rangers out of some caps by lying and saying we're there to collect her gambling debts for the Omertas. This also nets us some negative karma, and we eventually discover that Chief Hanlon is the person responsible for making a bunch of fake shit up about super mutants, domesticated deathclaws, and more to scare the NCR into backing out of the Mojave. But because our main character is a rat, we decide to snitch on him, causing him to lock us out of his office, go on a long-winded speech, and then delete himself.
Don't tell the troopers, but the grub here is way better than the mess tent.
Hey, what did Chief Hanlon have to say about those false reports we uncovered? What? Chief Hanlon? The man's a war hero. Why would he... That just doesn't make sense. This is awful.
Exploring the rest of Hanlon's camp, we run across a ragtag group of NCR soldiers known as the Misfits. Their CO is fed up with their poor performance, so we offer to help solve the problem. But after talking to the whole crew, this sounds like a lot of work. So instead, we just forge some new documents to say the Misfits are actually doing just great.
You actually did it. My friend, I am without doubt a genius, but I must say, you've given me a run for my money. Bravo. Bravo. Excellent. Maximal reward for minimal work.
Yeah, I'm sure that will work out great for you, buddy.
The Misfits' laziness caught up with them when the Legion attacked Camp Golf. Those who weren't killed in the attack attempted to flee, but were caught at Mojave Outpost, court-martialed, and hanged from the Ranger Monument.
But enough of the NCR for now. Our next stop is Vault 19, home of Samuel Cook's Powder Ganger crew. Cook was responsible for the jailbreak at NCRCF, but now he's in a bit of a pickle. Seeing that the NCR will probably seek vengeance on him at some point, he's looking to arm his crew and join up with the Great Khans. But another of his crew, Philip Lem, wants to blow up the sulfur deposits below the vault and convince the Powder Gangers to turn themselves into the NCR. Or we could take a third option and place enough explosives to destroy the sulfur deposits and the entirety of Vault 19. Now, one would think that blowing up the vault would kill all the Powder Gangers and rid the Mojave of some dangerous criminals. But this is not represented in the end slides. I think since the quest fails when you blow up the vault, the game treats it as if you've never completed the quest at all. So the story goes that Samuel Cook's crew terrorized the Mojave and the NCR for years afterwards. And that's what we're going to claim as headcanon for this playthrough. After closing down Vault 19, I returned to the Lucky 38 to take care of Mr. House for Caesar. All the wealth in the world couldn't protect you from these hands. After cleaning house, I decided to take a walk over in North Vegas Square to clear my head, bumping into a neighborhood busybody named Crandon in the process. Crandon asks us to complete a series of tasks involving some local troubles. And we take care of the problem by basically killing everyone. We kill the squatters, kill the greasers, and finally confront a young woman looking to rob her own mother. We could resolve the situation peacefully, but it wouldn't be the worst playthrough if we did that, now would it?
Back off. I know how to use this gun and I'm not afraid to shoot if you try anything. I've put up with their shit long enough. No more. I'll kill them if they get in my way. It's payback time, that's what. They've got no right to screw me over and I'm tired of it. Oh, you think I won't do it? I'll show you. What have I done? Mother. You too? Think I'm just a little girl? I'll show you.
At this point, I decided to double back to the main story and start putting in work for Caesar. He asks us to start eliminating or building alliances with the major factions in the wasteland, starting with the Boomers. Earning the Boomers' trust involves doing a whole lot of busy work for them. Better to just wipe them out instead and make sure their bombs don't strike us during the Battle of Hoover Dam.
Have you brought news of the Boomers? A perfectly satisfactory way of resolving the threat they posed. It's impressive that you made it through their barrage.
And while a peaceful solution with the Boomers is technically on the table, the same cannot be said for the Brotherhood of Steel. So we sneak into their bunker in Hidden Valley, kill an NCR Ranger to gain the Elder's trust, and then steal a bunch of keycards to input a self-destruction code into one of their terminals. See you later, Brotherhood! With the Brotherhood taken care of, we head to 188 Trading Post and introduce ourselves to Veronica, a potential companion. But since the Brotherhood has already been wiped out, we unlock some unique dialogue options.
I had a run-in with this group calling themselves the Brotherhood of Steel. Pretty strange bunch. Do you know anything about them? And? God, you're not lying, are you? You really did kill them. In that case, this is for them.
Speaking of companion betrayals, we head back to Caesar's fort and discover that Homeboy has a brain tumor. There are several ways we can resolve the situation, one of which is to offer our companion Arcade to Caesar as a personal physician and slave, so naturally we take that option.
And where is this Arcade? I'll have my guards take him captive. If he cures my condition, I'll see to it that your reward is several times his value.
Hey there! Was it always your plan to sell me into slavery to Caesar, or was that a spur-of-the-moment thing? Vitrix causa deis placuit sed victa catoni. Goodbye, courier. Why don't you make like Odysseus and get lost? For as lack of adornment is said to become some women, so will this place, without your presence, bring delight. I've run out of witty ways to tell you to leave, so why don't you just go?
Sorry, pal, you've been useful in combat, but you'll be more useful to the Legion. Our next quest is called Bye Bye Love, where we're tasked by a defected Omerta ganger to rescue his whore girlfriend from the Gomorrah casino. Our plan is to help Joanna sneak out of the casino and make tracks through Freeside. But along the way, we get confronted by Omerta goons, and Carlitos, you can handle this on your own, right, buddy?
Time to die!
Watch out! Watch out!
You like that?
No!
You like that?
After the thugs are taken care of, we make sure to dispatch Joanna as well. Don't want her out there grieving in the wasteland now, would we? Another quest we can get on the strip is taking pictures for Michelangelo, or we could just shake him down for caps by pretending to work for Mr. House instead.
I should have known that Mr. House wouldn't have sent just anybody. Anything I might offer to, well, encourage discretion? Yeah, I imagine that it takes a lot to fill the void of such a bottomless soul. Take the caps and leave me to my sorrows. Here, now please leave me be. I've had enough bullying for today. Hello? Now that you have all you care for, please, leave and don't come back.
Freeside has its share of troubles, and the followers of the Apocalypse are seeking to rectify that. Julie Farkas gives us a quest to help take care of a couple of junkies. Unfortunately, she picked the wrong man for the job when she trusted old Baldy.
No, you didn't. They're both dead. I don't know what you're pulling here, but this is not the way to win us over. Well, now that Jacob is dead, we don't have the extra resources to make a surplus of medical supplies. Sorry, but we cannot spare anything now.
Taking out Julie Farkas secures the worst ending for the followers of the Apocalypse, but this ended up being a critical error for me for reasons we'll discover later in this video. Our next stop is Jacobstown, home of the friendly super mutants. Their leader, Marcus, asks us to deal with a group of NCR-affiliated mercs who've been harassing the town. We can decide to convince them to leave with a speech check or pay them off with 2,500 caps. Well, I'm not going to pay with my own money, so I decide to ask Marcus for 3K and farm some negative karma in the process.
Something on your mind? Damn it. That'll wipe out the town treasury. If that's what it takes.
But it's not like I'm just gonna hand this money over to the mercs now that my bank account is fat. Hey Marcus, you got this, buddy? Oh no, you absolutely don't got this. Another potential companion, Lily, bites the dust as well, leaving Jacobstown a hollow shell of its former self. But why stop with one super mutant stronghold when we can also eliminate Tabitha and her nightkin at Black Mountain? After dealing with Tabitha, we meet up with another potential companion, Raoul.
If by some chance you want to find me again, and if by some even greater chance the coyotes haven't picked my bones clean, I'll be at my shack.
We're really on a killing spree with companions, huh? There's just one problem. Edie and Rex cannot be killed or betrayed by any quest decisions, nor can they die in combat. However, if we turn on hardcore mode, then companion permadeath is enabled. And I'm sorry, buddy, you were such a good boy.
That's strange. I don't see old Rexy with you. He usually comes back here whenever he's not with you. Where'd he get to? That's terrible. I hope the poor little guy gave as good as he got. He always was a fighter. Why, I remember one time when he... Do you mind if we talk about something else?
Edie was also confined to the dustbin of history. At this point, every companion in the game is either dead or betrayed. But there's just one problem for our ending. Since Boone, Veronica, Lily, and Raoul were technically never recruited into our party, their end slides did not play for me at the end of the game. So I'll just insert those right here so you can see how their stories play out.
Tired of waiting for the world to be done with him, Boone ventured into the wastes to make his own way out. Unable to clear his mind of the past, he was at last granted the death he'd awaited, bringing final rest to a life that had ended long ago.
Lily's long life finally came to a close in the Mojave wasteland. As the life faded from her, her last thoughts were of her grandchildren.
At odds with leadership over the Brotherhood's future, Veronica looked to the Mojave wasteland for an answer both she and they could live with. But the answer would never come, and the dangers of the world that had left the Brotherhood of Steel behind would eventually claim her life.
After a long and eventful life, Raoul's luck finally ran out during his time with the Courier.
Everywhere the Courier goes, death follows, and the same can be said for NCR President Kimball, who we are tasked with assassinating during the Legion quest, Arizona Killer. There are tons of ways to complete this quest, but the easiest route for me was to stick a bomb on his vertibird and watch him go kaboom. Another option for the worst playthrough is to fail the mission, which greatly displeases Caesar.
President Kimball was there on the dam right before you, and yet he lives. How did you f this up? Mark my words, you piece of shit. This is the last time you will ever refuse to perform an order I've given you. If you meant what you said, you'd best be on your way, and at good speed. And forget all that I could have given you. If you ever disobey me again, I will order my Praetorians to hack you to death with their machetes for my entertainment. That's right. Under normal circumstances, the reason it wouldn't happen again is that you'd be crucified, or worse. Only in light of the extraordinary service you've rendered unto me, am I going to overlook this failure. Bear in mind how much you have to make up for, how much you have to prove yourself in your next task.
Since the worst playthrough is all about chaos maxing, we'll take President Kimball's death as canon for the run. But at this point in the game, I ran into a massive problem. When I returned to the fort to tell Caesar the good news, all the Legion were immediately hostile whenever I entered Caesar's tent. At first, I thought it was because Eddie was still alive and floating around the camp at this point, so that's when I ended up killing him. But this didn't fix the issue. Then I thought perhaps the disguise system was bugged out, but equipping and unequipping NCR gear and all sorts of other gear didn't fix the problem either. So I was completely soft-locked because the only way to start the final quest was to talk to Caesar in his tent. And then it dawned on me. Arcade Gannon. Notice how when I enter the tent, there is initially only one enemy on the indicator, but as soon as Arcade starts firing on me, every other Legion member becomes hostile. You see, when I assassinated Julie Farkas at the Old Mormon Fort, everyone in the Followers of the Apocalypse immediately became hostile and started shooting me on sight. Well, Arcade is a member of the Followers of the Apocalypse as well, and because of New Vegas's faction system mechanics, he will immediately fire on me if I enter his vision cones because of my reputation with the Followers. So in order to get the worst ending for the Followers without making Arcade hostile, I ended up having to reload an earlier save and killing Julie Farkas with console commands. This cost me about 5 hours of my life, figuring out the issue and replaying a bunch of quest content to get back to the same point in the story, but in the end we eventually got there. But before we can tackle the last mission of Fallout New Vegas, we still have some more side content to take care of, starting with the Omertas questline on the Strip. The Omertas are planning a big attack on New Vegas, and it's our task to figure out what the gang is doing and either stop them or help them. Since this is the worst playthrough, we'll of course be helping the Omertas by ratting out Caccino to Big Sal, then helping Sal's underlings procure weapons and chlorine gas for making bombs.
Hey, it's my good friend again. What can I do for you? I heard you did some good work for us. Thank you. Here's a little cash from us to you. Try not to spend it all in one place.
This tanks our reputation on the Strip and ensures Caesar's opposition is crippled before the Battle of Hoover Dam. But don't think we're just gonna hand everything over to Caesar so easily. The last faction we need to deal with is the Great Khans in Red Rock Canyon. They are currently allied with Caesar, but we decide to break that alliance by undermining the Legion rep Carl and turning all of Papa Khan's inner circle against Caesar as well. At this point, we can convince Papa Khan to make the Great Khans all delete themselves by attacking everyone during the Battle of Hoover Dam.
I've heard some things from my most trusted Khans that makes me wonder whether this alliance is a good idea after all. But I want to leave a legacy of greatness when I die. My tribe deserves better than this, cowering in a canyon and living on scraps. Tell me then, if I don't join with Caesar's Legion, where will I find my tribe's lost glory? I should have you torn apart for speaking like that. But maybe you're right. The glory of the past is an empty dream. If the Khans are to be immortal, We must make our own destiny. We won't fight for Caesar, but when he strikes, we will ride out one last time. Whatever your motivation was, I think we owe you a debt.
And just for shits and giggles, we also help out Diana's friend Anders, who got captured by the Legion near Cottonwood Cove.
Please, help me. Thank God. Let me down, please. No, God, please!
Any luck finding Anders? What? How? What happened? What? Why the hell would you do that? Are you insane? You're psychotic. Get out of my sight. I have nothing to say to you anymore.
Our last task prior to the ending is wiping out the NCR garrison at Camp Forlorn Hope. After dealing death to the NCR, we report back to Nelson and insult the Legion officer for his lackluster reward.
A glorious victory. You must be very satisfied. I'll send word of your achievement. Perhaps Caesar will see fit to send another Count Bernium to occupy the camp. Here, take this. My blade. It was a gift from my centurion upon the defeat of the Sundog tribe. That blade has split the heads of... The only reason I give it to you is to force myself to earn another. True to Caesar.
But now it's finally time to conquer the Mojave in Caesar's name. We meet up with Legate Lanius at the forward camp, make our way across the bridge, infiltrate the Hoover Dam HQ, and kill General Oliver. Ring-a-ding-ding, the menace of the Mojave is king. So let's review the path of destruction our bald protagonist left in his wake by taking a look at the game's end slides.
And so the courier who had cheated death in the cemetery outside Good Springs cheated death once again, and the Mojave wasteland was forever changed. Caesar entered the Strip as though it was his triumph. The Legion pushed the NCR out of New Vegas entirely, driving them back to the Mojave outpost. The Legion occupied all major locations, enslaving much of the population and peacefully lording over the rest. Under the Legion's banner, civilization, unforgiving as it was, finally came to the Mojave wasteland. The Legion marched over the Hoover Dam with the help of one who was as brutal and merciless as the worst of them, the courier. Caesar honored him with a golden coin, minted in celebration of his contributions and distributed throughout the wasteland.
Though some super mutants in Nightkin continued to journey to the legendary Utopia, they found little trace of its existence. Some eventually found their way to Jacobstown, but many wandered off into the wastes, confused and disheartened.
Without organized leadership, the remaining boomers slowly drifted away, leaving Nellis Air Force Base to be flooded by prospectors and scavengers. All of the boomers' accumulated knowledge quickly scattered, and their existence slowly faded from memory.
Buried beneath tons of rubble, the Mojave chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel was no more. Those few who were outside the Hidden Valley bunker when it was destroyed settled into new lives, or headed west to find a new chapter to join.
The Fiends attacked Camp McCarran during the Second Battle of Hoover Dam and suffered heavy losses. Caesar, unimpressed with their performance and their dependence on chems, had them exterminated.
With no clear leader to guide efforts in Freeside, the followers of the Apocalypse lost control of Old Mormon Fort to local thugs and junkies. Eventually, using the followers' remaining supplies to manufacture drugs, the Old Mormon Fort quickly devolved into little more than a junkie den.
Tricked by the courier and imprisoned by the Legion, Arcade remained Caesar's personal physician for several years. Caesar grew fond of speaking with such an educated man on philosophical matters. Arcade became his unwilling intellectual sparring partner. After years of such servitude, during an unguarded moment, Arcade used a surgical scalpel in his bare hands to disembowel himself. Lacking any other skilled medical personnel, the Legion was unable to prevent his death. Caesar mourned his loss for months.
Travelers continued to stop by Goodsprings Source for water on the Long 15, but rarely would anyone venture into the ruins of Goodsprings itself. Those who did were almost always tourists, come to visit the graveyard where the courier rose from the dead.
Rose of Sharon Cassidy died as her caravan died. In an unmarked grave, another victim of the Mojave.
After their suicidal last stand at Hoover Dam, the Great Khans ceased to exist as a tribe. The few surviving members dispersed, joining up with other tribes and gangs across the Mojave, and quickly forgot their heritage.
With Jacobstown's leadership destroyed, the remaining super mutants and Nightkin of the West scattered across the wasteland. Jacobstown withered away, its death going unnoticed by the rest of the Mojave.
Impressed with the King's continued attacks upon NCR citizens and soldiers, the Legion offered them the option of being assimilated into the Legion. The Kings refused and briefly became slaves in the Legion, but after a failed escape attempt, they were all put to death.
He had survived police service in Colorado, the Great War, combat duty with the Legion, and being the companion of the King. But in the end, Rex finally succumbed to the horrors of the wasteland.
The Misfits' laziness caught up with them when the Legion attacked Camp Golf. Those who weren't killed in the attack attempted to flee, but were caught at Mojave Outpost, court-martialed, and hanged from the Ranger Monument.
While the destruction of the Repcon rockets appeared to be a boon to the salvagers of Novak, the benefit would never be realized. Radioactive fuel from the wrecked ships seeped out and contaminated the area. Salvagers were forced to move on, and the town was abandoned.
Most powder gangers at the correctional facility fled into the wasteland rather than face the advancing forces of the Legion. Those brave or foolish to remain were killed or crucified by the merciless legionaries.
Armed with a wide array of improvised explosives and stolen weapons, the Vault 19 powder gang tormented the Mojave wasteland for years. Citizens of the NCR were favorite targets, and they always suffered the worst fates.
Hot-headed to the end, Sheriff Myers chooses to oppose Caesar's takeover of Primm with a standoff. Though the citizens take out a few legionaries, the town quickly falls to Caesar, its citizens utterly wiped out.
After the death of Chief Hanlon, the power of NCR's Rangers was broken for years. Their organization, so reliant on the wisdom and guidance of its elder members, became a shadow of what it once was to people across the wasteland.
And so the Courier's Road came to an end, for now. In the new world of the Mojave Wasteland, fighting continued, blood was spilled, and many lived and died just as they had in the old world. Because war never changes.
My God, those have got to be the most cursed ending slides for any New Vegas playthrough ever. So there you have it. I made every bad decision in Fallout New Vegas so you don't have to. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to Big Dan Gaming for more Fallout and RPG videos. Big shout out to all the channel members for supporting my content. Until next time, this has been Big Dan. I should go.